This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P., South Jersey's hunting and fishing expert on WPG Talk Radio 1450 and WPG1450.com.
This is the twixt and tween time when everything is just going crazy. Hey, you're inside Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. WPG 1450 AM, the Great Talk Radio from 6 to 7, from 7 to 8, 97.3, ESPN FM, 50,000 watts of the Rack and Fin Radio message, celebrating our 13th year, New Jersey's longest running and most successful outdoor radio program. Just some reminders, kicking off this morning at 10 a.m. up there at the Batstow Visitor Center. It's a South Jersey Freshwater Fisheries Forum hosted by the Bureau of Freshwater Fisheries. Now, this warm trend we have this weekend is going to get some rain. It's going to get cold again. Give it till about the end of February. The crappies, the yellow perch, the pickerel, they start to go crazy. Looking for some white perch action in the Mullica and in the Bass River as well. Plenty of white perch on Mill Creek up there in LBI. Man, it's always a fork fight over who gets the last yellow perch or white perch fillet. Listen, on March 5th, it's the 10th annual Ocean City Intermediate School Fishing Club Flea Market. Great group down there. Great group with Nikki Verducci. Okay, it's going to run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's at 1801 Bay Avenue in Ocean City. Okay, get a hold of Nick at nverducci. That's NVERDUCCI at Comcast.net for additional information. Listen, Monday is the cutoff day for turkey permit applications. They're going to be accepted through, I guess, till end of business day, 5 p.m. Award notification and pickup period is going to be February 29th through March 21st, and that's going to stop at 11:59. Leftover and unclaimed permits will go on sale Monday, March 28th at 10 a.m. Yeah, this afternoon, hopefully, we're going to be out there doing some scouting for the gobblers. My lovely Denise Marie dyed-in-the-wool turkey fanatic. I know I say that to her about deer. I say that about her, about geese, squirrels. My lovely lady loves it all. Now, we had some warms. Do you remember that in late December through mid-January? You're seeing some gobblers and strut. I mean, it was a pretty crazy winter. Okay, grab that cup, grab that Red Bull. Coming up, Scott Bach, also Dan Roberts, also Jim Donofrio, Recreational Fishing Lines. A lot of important stuff happening now. Grab that cup, grab that Red Bull. Tune in, pay attention. Be right back. Rack and Fin Radio.
This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P. on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Baby, it's hell and hallelujah back inside Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. WPG 1450 AM from 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 97.3. ESPN FM, also streaming live on the web, WPG1450.com, 97.3, ESPN.com. Oh, it's finally concluding today, a sad day. The end of winter bow in those 15 DMZs across the state. Yep, February 20th, that's it. It is tutti finuti now how the year went on the overall between the weather, the acorns, etc. ad infinitum. Man, we don't know. We have a very special guest on the Rack and Fin Radio line going to join us in a minute or two. But remember last week I mentioned the chronic wasting disease survey studies, a.k.a. whatever you want to call it, from Division of Fish and Wildlife has been completed. I'm going to call to Dan Roberts. Yes, he is in the wings. He is a senior wildlife biologist, New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife. He is also the acting deer project leader. Let's talk the CWD survey, and I have several other questions for Dan as per the season. And let me tell you something, not a lot of people are happy with it. Dan, how you doing this morning? Thanks for joining us on Rack and Fin, brother. What's up?
Very good. Very good. Thanks for having me.
Dan, as always, last week I mentioned it. The chronic wasting disease survey is out. It's on njfishandwildlife.com. Let's just go to the deer section. You'll find it. But Dan, explain the results of this survey. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What is the dealio?
Sure. We did 561 samples from hunter-harvest deer this year. And once again, we're happy to say that of the deer that we sampled, all came back negative for CWD. So for the time being, we can say we're comfortable that it's not likely here. If it is, it's likely to be a very small scale, and we haven't found it.
Okay, Dan, the farthest west, farthest north, or closest, I should say, where CWD has been found, I mean, again, the herd's not, a Jersey herd, not really any kind of jeopardy, correct?
Well, it's been found in Pennsylvania. That's probably the closest. I believe it's about 80 miles as the crow flies. away from the southern New Jersey border.
Ooh, that's close.
There's a nice
man.
Delaware River there that hopefully will help keep everything out of New Jersey. But at this rate, it's 80 miles away. It hasn't crept closer to us yet. We're hoping that it continues to stay further away.
So things like the Delaware are a natural firewall, correct?
Potentially. The problem is there's still bridges and there's still potential for people to bring back material that could have exposed or testing positive for prions that contain CWD or manifest into CWD. And there's the potential for, unfortunately, people bringing back animals that they shouldn't be bringing in, live animals that they shouldn't be bringing in based on our efforts to try and stop interstate crossing with
people try
disturbed species.
People try to do that?
Unfortunately, we do have periodically some people that try to bring in deer from other states.
Well, they want to release them or start a deer farm. What's the deal with that?
Pets. I don't know if there's anybody trying to start deer farms. But we do have some deer farms here in New Jersey. I don't believe they've been participating in any of that cross-border activity, though.
Okay, Dan, one of the things, the topics that come up when discussing chronic wasting disease is, again, the natural urine, okay, that a lot of people use for, during the hunting seasons. And several small-time manufacturers, use the real deer urine for that. Now, the division, it's been bantered about, has an advisory about using the natural deer urine. Down the line, possible, if in the dreaded instance that CWD does get closer, that these can be banned?
The potential is there. A lot of states are reviewing their positions on that. Several states have actually banned it outright. We're looking at all potential opportunities just to try to make it so that our New Jersey herd stays as safe and as clean as possible from CWD. And one of the options that we have in our resources right now is looking at would an advisory work? Would it be something that we would need to try to put a stop to use of natural in New Jersey? Right now, it's still available to be used. We just are putting out an advisory that there's plenty of other synthetic versions out there that can do the job.
Hey, join us on the Rack and Fin line this morning, February 20th. Dan Roberts, Senior Wildlife Biologist, New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife. He's also the Acting Deer Project leader. Talk right now is CWD, chronic wasting disease. Well, Dan, before we get to this past, the 15/16 harvest figures, the chronic wasting disease, how does it manifest itself and potential to wipe out herds in any given area?
The potential is there for larger scale loss of deer herds. It basically affects the deer itself and leads to that wasting period. It basically just rots the deer from its own self, from the brain on through the body. And
very easily transmitted?
Unfortunately, yes. Most often through nose-to-nose contact, it can be transferred. Unfortunately, it's also found to be present in the ground in areas where it has existed, where it basically passes through the body through feces and urine, and the potential is there for animals that are feeding within those areas for deer to then pick it up potentially.
Okay, Dan, does the division have anything in place, any things in place to hopefully prevent this from coming in?
Well, we do have a response plan on our website, and we do have monitoring. We do keep touch with neighboring states, especially those that have positive samples or positive deer in their states, just to monitor, is it getting closer? Where is it? And part of our plan is if it gets to the point where it's too close to New Jersey, we'll do targeted surveillance to see if it has the capability or if it has crossed the border somehow.
Okay, fair enough. Ready? Here we go. Dum-de-dum-dum. Okay, Dan Roberts, let's talk The harvest 2015 through today. It's not finally. It's not the final numbers aren't tabulated just yet as the winter bow closes. Today, listeners in 15 DMZs across the state. Dan, the harvest whitetails down a significant percentage, correct?
Significant, yes. Yeah, it's down about 21.5% so far.
Whoa! That's anything in double digits is bad. Anything in the 2+, as in the 20 figure, very bad. Dan, any your meetings you're having, this being attributed to one particular thing, 2, 3, 4? What do you have?
Well, we had an emergency meeting that was called for by the State Federation of Sportsmen's Clubs in January to express their concerns and basically just to get the ball rolling for the upcoming game code cycle to allow for further review and evaluation of where the deer herd is, where the population is in certain areas, and express the sportsmen's desires, concerns, and what they're seeing out in the field. I'm sure there's going to be several more meetings as time gets together. I know the Federation the Deer Committee has asked their county chapters and individuals to get their requests in to the State Federation for review and basically compilation to bring back to another meeting to talk about what everybody's seeing and what their concerns are out there in the field.
Okay, Dan, I'm hearing a lot of things at the club meetings I go to, places we frequent. Season's too long, killing too many antlerless deer. What kind of change? They have to shorten the season. I mean, these things are too long. Look, you guys, this was just last week, you guys can hunt with a bow until February 20th. What's that all about? Blah, 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 goes down the line. Major changes in the offing, Dan?
We've heard all of that and probably more for what concerns and seasons too long, unlimited antlerless deer. At this point, I don't see anything changing for the coming fall season. That's all dictated by the game code. There are potential options for the Fish and Game Council to review in between, but the 1 year scenario where we had a abundant maize crop, mild weather, and a 20% drop in our harvest this year,
right.
Not likely to sway the council on voting for an emergency change. They usually look at the last several years, and this year will be a bad year for sure.
Sure.
But I don't expect that there's going to be an emergency change for this fall, but the doors are open now for game code cycle, so that's why. So we're going to be having lots of meetings and discussions, and after the season ends today, starting next week, we'll be working on our data edits and getting everything set for full analysis. And that Deer Committee has also asked us, as you'd mentioned, some of those key points is, what are the possibilities to shorten a season? What are the possibilities to reduce the unlimited antlerless to a tangible number?
Right.
So all these things are going to be analysis that we're going to be running and coming back with info and data to, try to work through and see if there may be proposals for the 2017 game code.
Okay, on the Rack and Fin line this morning, Dan Roberts. He is a senior wildlife biologist, New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife. He's also the acting deer project leader. This part of the conversation is about the 22% decline in the overall whitetail harvest. Figures won't be fully tabulated for a little while yet because the season does end today in 15 DMZs, winter bow season. So, well, Dan, it's walking the tightrope, the fine line as biologists, okay? You know your opinion, you know the deer biology, the ecology, whatever, the environment, the habitat, the diseases, everything, versus the opinions of the hardcore hunters and the casual hunters who are out there, what they see in the woods. That's quite a balancing act you have to perform, correct?
Yeah. I'm hoping that we'll be able to come together with all the pieces of the puzzle to come up with what works for everybody. As you mentioned, We're doing this with all of New Jersey residents in mind. We're doing this with forest health, habitat concerns, what is sustainable as far as our deer population goes, and what is also required or requested by the general public, people who are out there every day, everywhere in New Jersey, and also dealing and trying to make sure that our hunter base is on board with the way that we're managing and where we're going, by having a suitable population out there that's sustainable for future.
Well, that could restrictions include, for example, what's that? The antler point restrictions, things like that. Again, and instead of unlimited, dropping it down. So you have different avenues to explore insofar as, getting things back on track. But there is always nature involved. Again, an unbelievable, unprecedented mass crop. And, I'm bow hunting in February in shorts and a T-shirt. You know what I mean? So, that very warm fall season we had, so there's a lot of variables involved. So it's indeed, a fine line that you have to walk.
Absolutely.
Okay, Dan, on that note, we can expect, 16 into 17. 17 is going to be the cycle for the game code, so there may be changes there. What I'm wondering is, how is this augur, this significantly reduced harvest, how does this augur for permit sales for the upcoming fall seasons? On one hand, I'm not going to buy a permit. There's no deer around, blah, blah, blah. On the other hand, well, who knows? They're going to be reducing deer. Let me get the deer while I can. So it's another revenue juggling act as well, correct?
I haven't gotten full sales figures for this past year yet. But that'll always be looked at and held in the back as another potential scenario.
Sure.
For what's going on out there is, if there's a tremendous drop in sales, is it because the guys aren't seeing deer, and is that going to factor into why we had a decreased harvest as well?
Okay, Dan Roberts, thanks for joining us this morning, February 20th, Rack and Fin Radio. Senior wildlife biologist Dan Roberts, also the acting deer project leader. Dan, have a great spring, and we'll get you on in a few weeks, a couple of months from now, whenever everything's finally tabulated, and let's talk more whitetails.
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Take care. Have a great spring. See you.
You as well.
In all likelihood, I'll tell you, this past year seasons, from last fall through now, just an anomaly with that acorn crop that was out of control, the warm weather. And deer, I think on the overall, the deer are doing fine. A couple of guys say, hey, Tom P., they should outlaw bait. I says, well, it's pretty effective insofar as getting, but it turned a deer nocturnal. We're not seeing a deer during the day. I said, well, that's policy that's the deer in your area, man. Hey, up against a break. Coming up, Scott Bach, Executive Director, Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs. He's also a member of the Board of Directors, National Rifle Association, and he is a counselor at law. Topic, the Second Amendment, the passing of Chief Justice Scalia. What does this bode for the future? Now, Obama and the Dems are pushing for, just nominate someone, appoint him, get him on the bench. You have to. It's your duty. Put him on the bench. You're a derelict to your constitutional duties. And remember Charles Schumer? Anyone remember that dirtbag up in New York, Charles Schumer, senator? When Bush wanted to appoint someone? No appointments during a lame duck presidency. Democrats, the hypocrites that you are. Tom P., grab that cup, grab that Red Bull. Be right back with Scott Bach, Rack and Fin Radio.
This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P. on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Yeah, back inside Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. WPG 1450 AM from 6 to 7. The Great Talk Radio from 7 to 8, 97.3. ESPN FM, 50,000 watts of the Rack and Fin Radio message. And yes, it was indeed a sad day at the news of the passing of Chief Justice Scalia. And what does this mean to the future of firearms ownership, the Second Amendment, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights in the United States? Now, it's going back and forth with should Obama appoint someone, or not appoint, but at least nominate someone. The Senate, no, we don't have to vote on it. It's crazy back and forth. But back to the point here. How will his passing affect future rulings on the right to keep and bear arms? Put in a call to Scott Bach, he is the executive director of the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs. He's a member of the National Rifle Association's Board of Governors, as well as counselor at law. Scott is pretty much a constitutional scholar, especially as it pertains to the Second Amendment. Counselor Bach, thanks for joining us today. It's indeed a sad time with the passing of Scalia. He was an incredible justice, and from what I understand with several people that knew him, an incredible individual.
Absolutely, Tom. First, it's great to be back, but second, it's extremely sad. Most people don't realize this, but Scalia was from New Jersey, and he also was an active hunter, and part of American outdoor traditions. In addition to his departure being very sad, sudden and unexpected, it's also very consequential. It tips the balance in the Supreme Court on gun rights so that there is now a tie on the basic, fundamental issues of whether owning a firearm is an individual right or a right of the states. And I just want to back up, remind people of the Heller and McDonald decisions that came out of the Supreme Court when Scalia was on it. And those decisions basically said, and this was within the last 8 to 10 years, basically said Second Amendment's an individual right. It belongs to individuals, not to the state, and that ruling applies to every state in the United States. Believe it or not, in this century, in our modern era, that was the big controversial issue. And there were 4 justices of the U.S. Supreme Court who said, no, it is not an individual right. It does not belong to people. It belongs to the states through militias. And that was there through, the National Guard. And so, this is this intellectually dishonest argument that tries to rewrite history and say, well, there is no – it's the part of their end game to end the Second Amendment is taking this intellectually dishonest approach. So Heller and McDonald passed by 1 vote, in 5-4 decisions of the U.S. Supreme Court. Ever since Heller, a number of cases following on have tried – to move the football down the field on right to carry, including a case that the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs brought. Very compelling case that the Supreme Court almost took up, but didn't in the end. And they've so far rejected every right to carry challenge, which suggests that same 5-4 majority, just on the basics of gun rights, may not exist for some of the deeper issues that are of concern for us. So there's a long-winded way of saying that we had a 1-vote majority. It is now dead even. And so Tom, let me break this into a couple of pieces, okay? Let's talk about the present and the future, all right? You still with me?
Yes.
Okay, so the present is we're now at a deadlock on core Second Amendment issues, the basic ones, not the deeper ones. What that means is until there's a replacement, nothing good is going to come out of the Supreme Court, can come out of the Supreme Court on our issue. And there is the potential, if some of the pro-gun, quote-unquote, Heller justices are kind of weak on the deeper issues, there's actually the potential for something bad to happen.
Exactly.
If some of the cases that are already in the pipeline go to a 4-4 or, possibly going, the wrong way, go to the court. Okay, so there could be all kinds of shenanigans in the present. But for the future, if an Obama nominee gets on the court, it's going to be tipped 5-4 the other way. And that means, just bluntly, it means the end of the Second Amendment for generations, because an Obama nominee will, by definition, try to throw out Heller and McDonald, to relegate them to a footnote in history, a temporary anomaly of a misguided court. And they will, you better believe they will be in there trying to, throw out Heller and McDonald and declare the Second Amendment is not an individual right. It belongs to the National Guard, period, end of story. Now, so what that means is if we want it to tip the other way, we've got to put off the nomination until we have a new president, and it's got to be a pro-gun president.
Exactly. I was just going to say,
if we don't have a pro-gun president, the same thing will happen. And the other thing is there's a lot of other justices who are way up in age and not very healthy. And so the next president of the U.S. could appoint up to 3 or 4 additional justices. And so I mean, there's never, and you hear this every election, but I got to tell you, for the Second Amendment, there is not a more consequential presidential election, than the one that's coming up in 2016.
Well, Counselor, that's it, because you have, was it Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan, avowed anti-gunners, anti-Second Amendment. Am I off base on that from reading their opinions? No,
you're not off base. You can throw Ginsburg. You can throw Ginsburg into that too.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now she's fossilized as far as I'm concerned. No disrespect intended, but just calling it like you see. I mean, you see her in the photo. She's a shell of a person there. Now she's due to retire, and there's this, listeners. This is critical. This election, this presidential election, is critical. Sanders, on the 1 in a million chance, like they said with Obama versus the Hillary machine back in 2008, he gets in. He had been pro-gun, correct, living in Vermont, and he's just flopped, faster than a pancake, correct?
Yeah, he's a chameleon, and he's, look, he's a declared socialist, which might mean he borders on being a communist too. I mean, if he admits to being a socialist, who knows, what else is there? And look, free people and firearms ownership is not compatible with that point of view.
Exactly.
Even if you're just a quote-unquote European democratic socialist, with the illusion of freedom, guns do not figure in. Private, citizen ownership of firearms does not comport with socialism. Okay? I mean, the whole socialist ideal is everything is about the state. It's not about the individual, and gun ownership is not compatible with that, period.
Exactly.
Now, we know Hillary. We know she's well vetted on this. Okay, we know her position. She will be another Obama at least on guns, if not worse, and so will Sanders. So it's got to be a Republican, and it's got to be a strong Republican. The other thing is we need the existing Republicans in the Senate to have a backbone, until Obama's out of office. Because right now Obama's, working to pick a nominee that's going to make the Republicans squirm, that's going to make them feel like, well, if we block this, we're going to lose the presidential race. We're going to lose our own races that are up. If they pick someone, who it's politically incorrect to oppose, like Loretta Lynch, like the current U.S. attorney.
Exactly. Yep.
Who is someone that will definitely make Republicans squirm. So, I mean, this is more than critical. This is consequential to the. I mean, honestly, my personal view is we've seen freedoms eroded over the last 50 years in the U.S. The last vestige of freedom is what we have in the Second Amendment. And if we do not take that back and come back stronger, it will be relegated to a footnote in history. I cannot tell you how difficult the situation is that we are in currently. And it is one that every sportsman, hunter, gun owner, even non-gun owners who believe in the right, but even if they don't exercise it, it is so critical that, A, we put pressure on existing senators not to confirm an Obama nominee, and B, to make sure we have a pro-gun Second Amendment president at the end of the 2016 race.
You join us on the Rack and Fin radio line this morning, February 20th, rather. Scott, I'm thinking spring here. It's Scott Bach. He is the Executive Director, Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs. He's a member of the National Rifle Association's Board of Directors, as well as counselor at law. Topic is the passing of Chief Justice Scalia and the peril facing all gun owners in the United States regarding the Second Amendment as per a new SCOTUS appointee. Well, Counselor Bach, what recourse does the average Joe gun owner have? Contact your legislator, make sure that, they develop a backbone or stiffen their backbone. What's the dealio? What can we do?
Well, number one, we've got an immediate backfire that we have to deal with, and that is making sure Republican U.S. senators nationwide know that gun owners are watching, that they have to have a spine and a backbone. So, yes, contact your senator in New Jersey. That may not mean very much, but you're not limited. You're not limited to New Jersey. I mean, you can certainly weigh in with other U.S. senators, and those folks need to know we are watching. They need to know what is at stake, and they need to understand that, look, they occupy a position of great power and great responsibility, and it's not about them. It's not about their reelection. It's about freedom itself. Secondly, we have got to mobilize like never before on the presidential election to make certain that we have a pro-gun president, starting in 2017. And, I mean, it's even amazing to me that we have to even have a discussion like this, that so many people in the United States openly embrace a very far left-wing agenda, a socialist agenda where freedom doesn't matter. Second Amendment doesn't matter. I mean, it's amazing to me. My view is that this country is at a tipping point, and we have got to. It's not an option. We have got to tip it in our favor.
Scott, if I can interrupt you a second.
Consequences are going to go for months. I'm sorry, for years, for decades.
It goes back to the 60s. I mean, I was a youngster back then. I'm looking to say, this can't be good. And I was, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old at the time. And just watching the hippie movement, the yippie movement, all those arcane things. And then it's come to fruition now. I mean, people that never got out of the 60s, a.k.a. Bernie Sanders, right there, and his minions. I mean, to me, it's as black and white as can be. Well, Counselor, on the other hand, the NRA, I'm sure, marshaling its forces correct on this, and it's going to be a really strong, I hope, get out the vote movement.
You better believe it. You better believe it. It's going to be the strongest you've ever seen.
We need it. Well, Counselor Bach, thanks for joining us today on Rack and Fin Radio. Scott, give that website, please, of the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs.
ANJRPC.org. That's ANJRPC.org. Or you can Google Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, because that's a mouthful of an acronym.
Well, Scott, I'll tell you one thing. I bet you're not going to be sleeping much between now and next November. I mean,
you've got that right, and none of us should be. And none of us should be sleeping too soundly right now either.
Counselor, well, travel safe. Thanks for your great service with the NRA, with the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, and keep up the fight, Counselor. That's we're with you on this.
Thanks, Tom. Take
care. Have a great weekend. Scott Bach, telling it like it is. Yeah, time to rock with Bach, as the saying goes. Getting it done. This is critical. This election is critical. It comes down SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, and what is going to happen. Tom P. up against a break. Be right back. Grab that cup. Grab that Red Bull. Rack and Fin Radio, February 20th. The weekend of February 20th. Man, spring. How's that weather out there, huh? Spring is here. Be right back.
This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P. on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Yeah, welcome back. Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. WPG 1450 AM from 6 to 7. A great talk radio. 7-8, 97.3 ESPN FM. 50,000 watts of the Rack and Fin Radio message. Don't forget, March 3rd. It's a Thursday. Down there at Atlantic County Library and Jimmy Leeds Road. Okay, New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council going to be meeting and voting on to approve the 4 fluke at 17 inches in Delaware Bay. Okay, that looks like a no-brainer. Hopefully, the council go along with that. Also, they're going to be voting on establishing or setting what kind of cutbacks, what kind of beating we're going to take on sea bass. The sea bass management system, to me, is so broken. It's absolutely just totally in the toilet. And it just gets so exasperating at times. Put a call into Jim Donofrio. Okay, he is the executive director, Recreational Fishing Alliance. Okay, nation's only recreational fishing lobbying organization. Jim's going to go into this sea bass fiasco. What caused it? Is there any hope that this thing could be straightened out in the future? And also, I want to touch on what's happening down in the Gulf with red snapper and how it could happen up here. Jimmy Donofrio, how you doing, brother? Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, good morning, Tom. Good to hear from you. Yeah, I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about what happened down in Delaware Bay. I know success has many fathers, and I'm hearing all these rumors going around, but I can tell you we contacted Senator Jeff Van Drew and Assemblyman Bob Andrzejczyk, the chairman of the Ag and Natural Resources Committee, a year and a half ago with the Fortescue Boatmen and United Boatmen, and we had a meeting about the bay and the inconsistency there between Delaware and New Jersey.
Right.
Jeff Andrew, an ally, a great friend of recreational fishermen, jumped in with both feet with Bob. They called Brandon and at the Fish and Game, and Brandon called us back, and they did a great job of working together, the legislators, the people at Fish and Game, and they pushed this thing very hard to try to make it work. So I commend the senator, his people, and also Brandon at Fish and Game. They did a great job trying to make this thing work for us down there in the bay.
Well, Jim, it was great to see cohesiveness for once, everyone working together on this. Because, who's the bad guy, who's the good guy, Bureau of Marine Fisheries, they really want this group, that group, what have you. This is going to be, I'm not going to say a boon, but this is going to throw a lifeline to the recreational and for hire guys down there in Delaware Bay. Do you think so?
Yeah, it's no doubt, Tom. And the commissions better start looking at places like Raritan Bay, where you have New York and New Jersey waters. You're fishing, as we explained to Jeff when we sat down, the fish come in from the ocean. They don't know what bait they're in. I mean, this is ridiculous that you have two separate sizes, So anyway, they've got to work this out for the future, thank God. But regarding sea bass, this is the problem that RFA outlined in 2005 during the reauthorization. We named every species that was going to get hammered as overfishing, even though biologically we're not. In other words, we got statutory overfishing. The stock is way built up. It's over its abundance level. Summer flatterers do. And we're getting hammered on arbitrary language that's in the Magnuson bill, and on top of that, the data collection system. The MERP system went to MERP. They just changed the name. And, of course, they got Gordon Colvin from New York, who was the number one enemy of recreational fishermen when he was the DEC commissioner up there.
I remember that.
Any of your listeners ever went to the ASMSC meeting?
Yep.
Colvin was going against us all the time. He's running the show now. And so finally, we pushed Congress so hard, and NOAA, they're finally moving the data collection, exactly what we outlined, into the states. Money's going to come into the states. We've got language in the new Magnuson Act bill that hopefully will pass when we have a new president that will sign it. But the feds are moving that direction anyway. They know they're wrong. They've got to fix it. The states can do a better job. In fact, the state of New Jersey in the early 80s still has on record the most accurate data collection system ever done, when they were getting Rutgers and they were getting the students from the different colleges in New Jersey that are marine science students. And that's exactly what we outlined. RFA sent letters and said, look, if you want to get accurate data, get these kids that are going to school for marine science because they're hungry. They're hungry to learn. They're hungry for information. They will stay there. What did the MERP people do? They hired a bunch of retired guys in their 60s that are looking to talk to guys catching fish, and they don't talk to the guys that don't catch fish.
Exactly.
So they miss all the zeros in statistics. It's absolutely stunning how broken this system is. So it's getting fixed finally, but the sea bass issue for now, the only way it's going to get fixed, and I'm urging your readers, your listeners, your readers, because I know you're right too, Tommy, but they've got to contact Senator Booker. He's the ranking member on the committee in the Senate. We need the help there. And Senator Booker came down to our office, and he just sent me a handwritten note the other day and said, Jim, he said, I'm really happy to work with you guys and try to get this Magnuson issue fixed. He is really engaged. I got to tell you, when it comes to fisheries, we might have some disagreements on other policies. I don't care about that. I care about our fishermen. I care about the senator as an ally. He's a great friend. And I'm going to tell you, let him know, tell your listeners to get in touch with his office and say we need help. He's got to contact the Secretary of Commerce. That's the only thing we can get right now is getting some emergency relief and let him back off on this thing. It's that precautionary approach in the Magnuson Act that's killing us.
I know.
The fish are there. But
they're there.
We should not be shut down. We should not be shut down.
Join us on the line this morning, Executive Director, Recreational Fishing Alliance, Jim Donofrio. Well, Jim, let me ask you this. It's been some pretty fierce pushback, though, by some organizations and individuals regarding flexibility in Magnuson. Where is that coming from?
Well, that's all being funded by Pew Charitable Trust, an Environmental Defense Fund. That's the Marine Fish Conservation Network. That group of scoundrels, they get their money from there. Then you've got the group called the Ocean Champions. These are all sexy names. Think about it.
Yeah, the names are great. Yeah.
Oh, say somebody hears, hey, Ocean Champions, man, I got to send them money. Oh, Marine Fish Conservation Network, I got to send them money. They're a bunch of scoundrels. They want to get us off the water. That's their agenda. These are the guys that have been working against us, and they've got fishermen that people like. I mean, you got John McMurray from New York. John is a nice guy. But John's paycheck comes from the environmental industry, and he votes against everything we want at the council.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get people like Adam Nowalski, who's now on the council, and others that are going to vote with us. And he does a great job. I mean, we've got to get good people on those councils. But Pew is working this hard, and this ties into this whole thing you're talking about that's happening with Red Snapper. This whole group, Pew, EDF, they're the ones that are funding the catch shares and the sector separation, Tom, separating the party charter boats from the regular recreational guys.
Right.
It's a perfect example of what's happening in the country with the leftist communist movement. This is all part of it. This extreme environmentalism is all written in a book called The Naked Communists from the 1950s. It's dangerous. It's that the country's going to get weak. It's part of the whole thing that's happening right now. And what they're trying to do is they're going to bring this up to summer flounder and sea bass in the future and divide us. And once they divide us...
Exactly, Jimmy. The divide and conquer. Now, mentioning McMurray, I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. Well, I've seen his photo in articles, but he had a piece in On the Water. He writes a New York column in there. What's all the bitch and crybaby BS about? I've never had a greater flounder, a.k.a. fluke season in my life. The fluke fishing is crap, blah, 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 blah. So he's coming across as, see, Magnuson is working as it is. And I
that's what they're all saying. See, they're all telling. Well, here's the lie. See, we had a conference call the other day with our coalition to fix Magnuson, and that's the National Marine Manufacturers and all the other groups that we're working with, Yamaha, of course, and Mercury. So here's what's going on. They're telling the Senate right now that Magnuson is working. But yes, that's a half truth. Typical of the left. It's a half truth. It's working because yes, the fisheries are rebuilt. But where it's not working is the spirit and the intent of Magnuson is to allow access, and we're not getting the access we deserve. We continue to be restricted, and the way we have it in H.R. 1335, the bill that we passed out of the House,
right.
That bill allows for rebuilding, sustainable fisheries, but it also allows for better access. We can have all three of those goals and achieve them and still keep fisheries healthy. The other side doesn't want that. They want to restrict us. They want to beat us down.
And Jim, you're pissing me off, Donofrio. I'm just sitting here. Well, I'm just getting in a boil here. Well, Jim, can what happened or what is happening in the Gulf with the red snapper? Somebody's out of Tom Pay. Yeah, that's BS. That's not. It can never happen up here with sea bass or fluke. Whatever. Can it happen here?
It can happen because it's been brought up already at the council. It's been brought up in New England. And, look, it's on the agenda to discuss, but I tell you right now, the allies we have here, believe it or not, are the commercial guys. The commercial guys are on our side right now on this. They don't want it either. See, they don't want to see it, which is good. On the West Coast, they love it because, don't forget, they got the crab boats and they've got the pollock boats, and, they want certain days at sea because of that rough weather. It works out there. It works for them. That kind of thing works. That doesn't work on the East Coast.
Exactly.
And that's the problem we have on Capitol Hill. We've got Western senators that are supporting this. So our job right now is to explain to Senator Booker and his colleagues, as he told us, explain to them the differences, the uniqueness of our East Coast fishery versus the West Coast, where we can come up with a bill that works for both coasts but doesn't jeopardize our traditional historical fisheries here.
Okay, Jimmy, as you say, democracy is not a spectator sport. Get involved. How do people get involved with the Recreational Fishing Alliance? Give that website, Facebook, please.
Yes, it's joinrfa.org.
Okay, Jimmy, God spares we'll see at one of these meetings. Listen, this guy is omnipresent. He is all over the place. Jimmy, you take care. I'll see you soon.
Okay, Tommy, thank you.
See you, man. It is critical. The catchy names like Marine Conservation Network ad nauseum. And people put money in it. It's good, and they have bamboozled, for lack of a better term, a significant number of recreational fishermen, aka recreational fishing clubs, to go along with it. But Donofrio set them straight. Captain Adam Nowalski, he's the chairman of the New Jersey chapter. I got Tom Foti, JC. These guys are all, and gals, all fighting for the recreational fishing in New Jersey. Get hold of Senator Cory Booker. Just Google him. I'm at odds with Booker I'm from Newark, okay, originally, so I've seen what has happened up there. But as Donofrio put that aside, he is for the recreational fishermen, the for hire, the individual, the party boats. These Booker's input on this to the Commerce Secretary is critical. Hey, time for our New Tackle Corner, man. I got a little segment here. New Tackle Corner, what's going to be happening 2016? Well, as we speak, Surf Day up there at Brookdale Community College is going on. He's on his way. He was able to tackle Stanley Gola. You know, Stan the man, the Ayatollah of Flukerola, SNS, the bucktails, the rattling bucktails. Then he had the rattle and mow. Stuff's taken the industry by storm. He's now in what I believe in over 100 retailers in the tri-state area. He's come up with a new plug series. And I say, what, another plug series? This series looks like a bass / weakfish / any kind of slayer. This is it, man. Again, his mind is always working. Stosh Gola, how you doing, man?
Good, Tom. How are you?
I know you're about to get into that Surf Day madhouse up there. But Stan, new plugs, I understand, are in the oven with the SNS label on them. Go into the name, go into what is good about them. We only have a couple of minutes, Stanley. Let it go, bro!
Okay, well, first one we have is a 7-inch. The name of the plug is called the PV Minnow. It's a through-wired 7-inch plug made in a various amount of different colors. Believe we have 10 different color schemes. They have VMC 4X hooks on them and 120-pound XX heavy split rings on them.
Beautiful.
They also have a nice weight transfer system in them, and they also have a built-in rattling chamber in the nose of the plug on the 7-inch.
Whoa! Rattling again, Stanley, rattles seem to be your thing. Did you play with rattles when you were in a crib or something? I mean, you're like the rattle master. What's that all about?
Fish react to the vibrations in the water. I mean, the rattling bucktail, the rattling moe, they're all shown great results, and these were field tested last year, all summer, kept quiet to make sure they were what we wanted. We got the results we needed, so here we go. Okay,
Stan, now I believe there's a second size?
Second size is a 5.5-inch, a little bit different. It's a much fatter profile, almost going to imitate a peanut bunker. Mm-hmm. Same thing, through wired, weight transfer system, rattling chamber in the front. The only difference with them is the split rings are a little smaller. They're a 5, number 5XX, and they're 100-pound, but the same hooks, the VMC 4Xs on them. Okay,
on the line right now, Stanley Gola, SNS Lures, Tackle Corner here. What is new? He is up there at Surf Day, which is going to explode at 8 o'clock, 9, whenever it starts. Well, Stan, I'll tell you, I'm going to put an observation here on this. Since you can't use herring here, we have I don't know, I can't say great anymore. It's a fairly steady striper run starting in late March into early May up here in the Great Egg Harbor River from Great Bay right up to the dam at Mays Landing. Now, I understand you do have a herring finish in the junior?
We have a herring finish in the junior and the senior, or the minnow, the 7-inch minnow. We also have a peanut. We have a mullet. We have, your traditional colors. We have a bone. We have a blurple. We have the old Smoky Joe.
Okay.
And then we have some other oddball stuff like a diesel. And we have the chicken scratch. And then we have a couple other ones that we're going to be releasing at Surf Day, which will just be available at Surf Day.
Okay, listeners, now they're going to be available in select retailers in the Rack and Fin radio listening area. Right now, I understand Captain Dave the Rave Show will be carrying them. Billy at Fanatics will be carrying them, and several other stores as well. We'll stay on the PV. Go into the name, please.
PV was named after, my dad was Pop's Vision. That's the name. I mean, it's something we were working on, and unfortunately, Dad left us, so I kind of pushed it off to the side. And after a little time, I said, okay, this is something we wanted to do together, so that's where the name came in.
Okay, Stosh, well, good luck up there at Surf Day. Listeners, these plugs, the PV series by SNS, will be available. I guess the dealers down here, Stanley, aren't going to be stocking them until probably sometime late March, early April, but it's going to be just in time for the spring striper run, which gets underway about that time of the season. Stan, good luck up there at Surf Day. Best of the mom, best of Rachel, and I can't say little Stosh anymore. He's a big-ass kid now, Stan.
He's almost as tall as me now. He's a big boy. I
don't even want to know the grocery bill, Gola.
It's a lot.
Okay, Stan. God spare. See you this spring, man. Be good.
Thanks, Tom.
Take care.
All right.
Okay, up against a break. Be right back. Rack and Fin Radio. Yes, Surf Day's going on. It's up there at Brookdale Community College. And some of the stuff is out of control price-wise, but again, it's a very niche market. Really, some of these things are works of art. But from my end, the thing swims right. The action's okay. A striper, a tide runner, weak fish, bluefish. They're going to nail it. Tom P., be right back. Grab that cup, grab that Red Bull. Rack and Fin Radio.
This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P. on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Hey, welcome back to Rack and Fin Radio. Our final segment today, February 20th. My, how spring is rapidly getting here. Hey, the South Jersey Bass Club Association recently released its Open Buddy tournament schedule for 2016. Okay, the schedule's still tentative. Okay, go to sjbca.org for more information. Anyway, on March 13th, that's a Sunday, on Parvin Lake, okay, there's going to be an Open Buddy Bass Tournament. Host Club Tidewater Bassers. Launch time 7, weigh-in by 3 p.m. Now, let me tell you something about Parvin Lake. It's managed under Lunker Bass regulations. Imagine a Pac-On or Union Lake, Greenwood Lake, whatever, in miniature. This is one hell of a bass factory. I mean, the thing's 6, maybe 7 feet, max depth. Bass, 4, 5, 6 pounds. unbelievable fishery. Okay, that's going to be the 13th of Sunday of March, Parvin Lake, Tidewater Bassers, and on the 20th of March in the Salem Canal. Years back, this place was noted for numbers, mostly small size, but numbers. Now it's size and numbers, okay? Lunker Hunters Penn/Jersey Bass Club is the host, and it's going to be in the Salem Canal the 20th. That's a Sunday as well. Go to sjbca.org. And also, what's that, March 5th. The SJBCA is the annual Fisherman's Flea Market out there in Millville. It's a Millville Elks Lodge. That's 1815 East Broad Street in Millville. It's right next to the Route 55 overpass. $2 admission, plenty of free parking. Great from Tom P. Great food, great deals. I mean, last year this flea market was a knockout, man. I mean, great rods, reels, custom baits. I mean, everything. You name it, it's there. Okay, there's going to be all sorts of raffles. 2 tackle boxes loaded, 1 fresh, 1 salt, are going to be raffled off. And there's 1 raffle prize, a free 2-hour canoe and kayak rental donated by Alan Sam's Canoes and Kayaks. Call my main man, Joe Hoban, for more information. He can be reached at 856-692-2807. Again, or go to sjbca.org. And mark next Sunday, February 28th on your calendar. Incredible event out there at the Piccadilly Inn, Route 206 in Chemung. It's called Venison Valhalla. Annual venison dinner in this incredible little restaurant. Not little. I mean, the thing is kind of sprawling if you ask me. Emily, I'm all over the place here. Where sportsmen and sportswomen gather. On the line right now is Bonnie Schneider of the Pick, as it is known. Tell us a little bit about this Venison Valhalla get-together. Miss Bonnie, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Oh, I'm not going to eat all week, Schneider. I'm not going to eat all week getting ready. You don't know when Tom P gets around. 1, macaronis. 2, the Pick Burger. Or 3, venison in any shape or form. Bonnie, go into this great dinner, please. What time does it start? When's it end? How much? What's the dealio?
It starts at 1 o'clock. My grandfather always said it would end when we ran out, which fortunately has never happened. We make
time out. That's because Tom P's never been there, Bonnie. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We offer a venison dinner. It's roasted venison. Comes with mashed potatoes and gravy, venison gravy. Also comes with a vegetable, and you get your choice of venison noodle soup. And this year we are adding the venison chili thanks to you, which was a great idea.
Ooh.
We have never done that before.
Hey, Schneider, you're making me wiggle in my chair here, girl. You got to stop that. Okay, now, reservations required. I know you're going to be slamming with this. Whenever you have something like this out there, listen, you're parking on the highway pretty much. Is there going to be reservations or just show?
You can definitely call ahead. It's a great idea. We don't require reservations, but any parties over 8 or 10, we'd definitely like to know that you're coming. So please just give us a call. And other than that, there's also a traditional turkey meal dinner that's served for anyone who chooses not to eat the venison. But it is our annual venison dinner that we only do once a year now.
Hey, Schneider, can I make a suggestion?
Of course.
Anyone who doesn't want to eat the venison shouldn't be allowed in. How's that?
I like that.
Okay, Bonnie, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I had a special gift for maybe our 100th customer, and I was assuming that you might help me get that person.
Okay. We can do that.
It's a deer, they're these really cool deer bottle stops, and they have huge racks on them, so I just thought it would be a good idea for the dinner.
I like that, Schneider. That's right. Listen, it's the 28th of February. It's next Sunday. Piccadilly Inn, Route 206 in Chemung. Bonnie, give that phone number and website, please.
It's 609-268-2066 and Piccadilly.com.
Now, for this week on Rack and Fin Radio, Jim Donofrio, Recreational Fishing Alliance Executive Director, says, get involved. Call Senator Cory Booker's office. Okay, Google up Senator Cory Booker. He's on the fisheries, committee. Let's make it work. Tom P., God bless America. God bless our troops. See you next week. Rack and Fin Radio.